Hello guys, and this week was very hot, very loud, very bright and very problematic for the Kremlin regime because Ukrainian drones keep destroying Russian oil industry. We have paid one very expensive visit to the oil depot in Engels, the one that is still on fire 5 days after the visit of Ukrainian drones, and tonight we have destroyed a huge and modern oil refinery in Tatarstan. Combined with new US sanctions for the Russian oil industry, this seems like a perfect victorious combo. Ukrainian drones also did good job in Novorossiysk, that is a Russian fleet center now inside Russia, after they had to escape from Crimea, from Sevastopol. They moved to Novorossiysk, but we reached them even there because one of the main tasks of Ukraine and all the democratic world is to defeat and demilitarize the Russian Federation. And it actually works well as Ukrainian forces continue to advance in Kursk region. Even with the backup of North Korean soldiers, nothing goes according to the Putin's plan. And actually, first North Korean soldiers were imprisoned by Ukrainian troops, and there are first reports about the attitudes and the situation inside the Russian and, should I say, North Korean army right now. So let's discuss this most important events of the week from an ordinary Ukrainian perspective. My name is Anna, I'm from Ukraine, I'm in Ukraine, today in the Carpathian Mountains. And if you want to see the defeat and demilitarization of Russia and also protect yourself against the hybrid warfare, subscribe, we discuss all of that on the channel. And let's start with the freshest update, and that is the visit of Ukrainian drones to Tatarstan. Tatarstan is a national republic inside the Russian Federation, located more than 1,000 kilometers away from Ukraine. So it's an important, not that simple task to reach that territory from Ukraine, but also a vivid demonstration how vulnerable Russia is, how bad their air defense is, and that they are totally unprepared to defend themselves. And I will continue about that in the section on North Korean soldiers in Kursk. But in Tatarstan, Ukrainian drones visited and set on fire a very big, one of the largest and actually very modern Russian oil refineries that works for the Russian army. Unfortunately, back in 90s, Tatarstan tried to become independent from Russia. Putin ruined all of that plans, and right now he uses this country as a military base, as a platform for various drone, oil refining, military complex, various plants and factories, thus making this territory a war zone too. And this is a vivid illustration why it's so important to support all the nations who want to defend their national culture, their language, their rights, like it was with Tatarstan in the 90s, because right now they suffer greatly from being a part of Russia. Another important event against Russian oil refining industry took place 5 days ago in Engels, which is named after communist leader Friedrich Engels, because in Russia they still worship communists. And in Engels, a huge oil depot was targeted, at least by 11 brave Ukrainian drones, and the fire continues. As Russian media reports, this is a controlled fire. Perhaps everything goes according to the plan, but the plan is to demilitarize Russia. This oil depot in Engels is used by the Russian army. It's really close to the front lines and actually fuels Russian bombers, or should I say fueled Russian bombers, which later went to destroy Ukrainian lives and infrastructure. So by setting such objects on fire, demilitarizing Russia, we make Ukraine and the world a safer place. Subscribe to witness more of that in the coming months, because once again, the only way to achieve lasting peace on planet is to punish bullies, and that is what we are working on. And we are working on that, especially in the area of the Black Sea. I think one of the greatest Ukrainian victories in 2024 was the destruction of the Russian Black Sea Fleet. We have upgraded a vast majority of their warships and submarines to scrap metal at the bottom of the Black Sea, and the leftovers had to flee to Novorossiysk, which is a port, but inside the Russian Federation, where actually all of this scrap metal belongs. Novorossiysk was visited by Ukrainian drones last night, and there are reports about explosions and damages to some of the leftovers of the Russian Black Sea Fleet. And also drones worked in Anapa, which is on the Black Shore inside the Russian Federation, close to the Turkish pipeline, the one that Russia uses to supply countries like Hungary with Russian gas. Congratulations to all the countries of Europe and the world who became independent from Russian energy resources in the last 3 years, because Russia has always used these resources not as a product, not as resources, but as an instrument of threatening, blackmail, and getting what it wants from your countries on very bad conditions. So I think that actually this Russian Black Sea Fleet driven out of Crimea is one of the greatest victories that many military experts and global leaders should speak about. Russia tries to hide that. Russia hires a lot of YouTubers, influencers. I'm actually surprised when I learn more and more biographies of such people and how much money is invested in that very well-designed deceit and global manipulation. So my task is to remind you that not only they had to leave Crimea and now to hide in Novorossiysk, we have destroyed a lot of their warships. Now they cannot keep their missile carriers, like Kalibr carriers, close to the shores of Ukraine, and they don't have hopes for various assault operations. And most importantly, we don't need any grain deals. And Ukrainian Grain for the World is already working in different corners of the world, in Africa, in Syria, which is another illustration that we have to unite around good initiatives, and we have to unite against the task, mission number one, and that is to defeat and demilitarize the evil with the center in the Kremlin and, of course, in North Korea too. Because unfortunately, such regimes back up each other faster than good, but sometimes bureaucratic democratic governments. And also we quarrel too much, we hesitate too much when they push their fake narratives and weapons to destroy the world we love and respect. Subscribe to demonstrate your solidarity with the democratic world and, of course, people of Ukraine. It always makes me happy to learn that our community grows and our community grows stronger. And the Ukrainian armed forces gave us a really good surprise this week when they continued to advance in Kursk region. Despite all the efforts and promises of the Kremlin goblin to return back Kursk under the control of Russia, he keeps repeating that. He promised that for Christmas. And he actually stopped saying the dates. A lot of people inside Russia asked questions about Kursk region in his insane press conference recently, but did not receive any answers. It's quite obvious that North Korean soldiers came to Russia to help Putin because he's deadly afraid to start a new conscription because this may actually reach big cities like Moscow and St. Petersburg and make his regime more fragile. I'm not convinced that population can do something, but more and more of the Russian oligarchs can get dissatisfied with this obvious weakness of Putin. So North Korean soldiers came to save Putin's situation, but also to learn this real combat experience. This is the big war, the one that resembles the battlefields of the Second World War, with lots of new instruments of war used, with drones, with lasers, with artificial intelligence. And they are definitely preparing to attack other democratic countries. This axis of evil is very well defined and visible right now. And I think that Ukraine at the moment is the only country on the democratic side that knows a lot about this modern warfare, that produces drones capable of doing lots and lots and lots of various military tasks, some of which are purely amazing and record-breaking, like Marine Magura V5 drones that destroyed Russian helicopters in the air from the sea, targeting them with missiles. And there are lots of records that Ukrainians break, like F-16 pilot that actually destroyed 6 winged missiles during just one combat flight. And 2 of these missiles he actually destroyed with an aircraft cannon. And even his instructors back in the US were surprised that it was possible. So this is a kind but very obvious reminder: NATO needs Ukraine. NATO needs Ukraine, just as Ukraine needs NATO. Because unfortunately, Russia has already illustrated how many international organizations are not working, like UN, like OSCE, and many others. I hope this will not be true about NATO. No NATO countries will attack each other, and Ukraine joining the alliance will bring skills, determination, and knowledge. And this unfilled experience is very valuable, even for the construction of future drones and future weapons, which are very different from what is applied on small missions somewhere in the mountains of Afghanistan. And I'm happy that many democratic countries understand that and keep fighting against Russia, not just by backing up Ukraine militarily, but in this economic dimension. And President Biden has just applied new sanctions against Russian oil refining industry. And according to the reports of various economists and experts, these are super severe and very much needed sanctions, which actually stop Russia from finding, options to avoid the limitations, and most importantly, targets also the companies in other countries that wanted and actually did help Russia to avoid sanctions, specifically in India and China. And there are already lots of reports that more and more Indian and Chinese ports do not accept Russian oil tankers because they are afraid of the consequences. And honestly, guys, do you see how easy it is actually to paralyze Russian war machine if not to be afraid, and if to truly want that, just as every Ukrainian does? Trust me, the evil bullies can be defeated, and it's super important for the world. I don't want to live in the world where the presence of nuclear weapons or having $300 billion make you the most influential country or person. It's not like that. It's about knowledge, it's about respect, it's about wisdom, it's about experience. These are the values that I've learned in my family at school, and I don't want it to be the right of force, the right of strength, but not the right of law, not the right of intellect. And I hope you stand with us together. And this will definitely cause lots of problems to Russian ruble. They artificially try to save it for months but I think that their resources are over, and hopefully if sanctions are not lifted after the inauguration of Donald Trump, let me know in the comments below, do you think it's likely and how likely that is? Because there are so many contradictory rumors about what Trump can or cannot do. But as a Ukrainian, one thing I have to say, it's not only about what Trump or Putin will speak about, it is also about the will and determination of Ukraine and other freedom-loving nations all over the world. I'm sure many of you remember how at the start of this war, even our best friends did not give Ukraine more than 3 days. Putin's bluff, Putin's fakes about this blitzkrieg and Ukrainian people giving up persuaded, many manipulated public opinion. So don't let this kind of manipulations deceive you again. We are determined to defeat and demilitarize Russia. And if you have just watched this video, I have given you a lot of examples how we are working on that. And these are examples from just 1 week. Thank you so much for buying me coffees and becoming my patrons and sponsors of the channel. Actually, right now I'm drinking very tasty Carpathian tea that is made of foxberry. I like this version more, or cowberry. It grows here in the mountains in autumn. It's red and it's very, very tasty. It's bittersweet. And I'm sure when Ukraine wins, Russia is defeated, many of you will come to discover Ukraine. I'll be honored to introduce you to my country and tell you more about our culture, language, history, and other things when not distracted by Russian aggression. And you will taste this kind of tea and you will like it because food is very tasty in the Carpathian and in the open air. Oh my God. If you want to see more, join me on Instagram. I share more of everyday, like positive content there, at least in my stories. And also I'm on X, fighting, on Blue Sky, our community is growing quicker, and Discord. If you want to join any of these social media platforms, you will find the links in the description of this video. And please remember to share the videos and stories that you like on your social media platforms, because this helps to fight against Russian disinformation. And also, I believe there is not enough Ukrainian voices globally. So I'm very grateful for all the help that I see. Thank you so much. Check our merch shop for lots of good items that work well as reminders and conversation starters about Ukraine. But most importantly, thank you for standing with us. Evil will be defeated, and we are working on that together. Slava Ukraini!